Hey, I want to start off with a kind of meditation to give you a feel of what we're going to be exploring tonight. And quite a relaxed one. So see if you notice like a tendency to go into a posture or a meditation of some kind, and just relax that and just find yourself where you are. We've been through 2 stages of development already. Tonight we're going to go through a third and a fourth. I just want to give you an experience of some of the levels we've been through before, to see if you can find in yourself now the part of you just wants to hear everyone and wishes that all humans were treated equal and doesn't believe there's any truth, that everyone's truth is just as important as anyone else's. And that was the first level we went into. See if you can find a part of you that's like that. Really, really values equality. And really values being here with other human beings. And then we're going to just go up a stage. This is a very rough estimate. We're going to go into the self-actualizing part of you. To see if you can feel the part of you that's here because you want to grow. The part of you that's driven to challenge yourself with complex ideas, or to participate in this meditation so you become more present. See if you can really tune into that actualizing, evolving self. The one that probably has 6 books ready for you to read. Has 4 different coaches. 6 different practices that you're going to do tomorrow morning. See if you can feel that energy that wants to evolve, that self. And then where we're going to be exploring today, you can feel your drivenness, part of you that's working out how to be more complete. And then just go a little deeper into the felt sense of being here. And it's a special kind of awareness where you're just really opening to what's here, just as it is. Don't need your sensations to be something, or don't need to find the emptiness and the tension, and the emotion is all part of the same immediacy. What's the immediacy like for you? When you tune into the group, are we all in the same immediacy, or does it feel different? Is there a sense of separation? And if there's a sense of separation, what does that feel like in immediacy? And then we'll just go one more stage because we might get there today. And as you start to feel your immediate experience, can you sense its unity? Can you sense a unity between what you feel, what you see, what you're hearing, all arising in the same experience, the same immediate experience? Everything that you can witness is inside of you, not you as your personal you, but the you that experiences everything always. The part of you that's me right now. I'm just going to give you a little catch up, those of you that see there are a few first timers. This developmental research that I'm going to go through today, it's been a really important part of my journey, been very important in developing my circling and surrendered leadership. And I really love it because it's like science that has kind of evolved to embrace like deep psychology and spiritual insight. So it becomes a nice guide to what we're doing in the practice. It's very rare to find something that has quite a deep scientific rigor to it. There's a lot of research being done at bringing out clear patterns, but that in what they've discovered how important our deep psychotherapeutic knowledge and practice has been, and how wise the spiritual practices and traditions have been. So as a guide for the work we're doing, where we're really making connection conscious between us, exploring presence, exploring really being authentic together, like what does it mean to be an authentic human being? That's not an easy question to answer. So it's great to have this research that shows these patterns that are being recorded from real human beings. And the science, a lot of it, to discover these levels that they've found in people, a lot of it's had to come through interviewing or getting people to write answers to deep questions. because it's not easy to study like what the interior experience is of a human being. You can't get a microscope and look inside of our meaning making. And I actually realized recently that I think this map, which has guided me so much, should be guiding our practice community more. And I remember, I think it was 10 years ago when I first read it. And when I read the levels that I'm going to go through with you today, I was like, oh my God, there are people that are like this. Like, what the hell? It's like Star Wars. Like, is this possible? It was amazing to read it. And it was like, and it scared me because I was like, am I ever gonna experience things like this? And I actually had to put the book away because I knew I had such a tendency to try and make it happen with my mind. Try and like shape myself into what I was reading through my thinking, which seemed to be a contradiction to what the research was showing. But I also think, especially with a practice like this, with the kind of deep intimacy we're exploring, it's very important that we have something grounding that's like based on proper research, because it's easy for us to get lost. So with that said, I want to dive right in to the two levels we'll look at today, which are called the construct aware and the unitive level. So just to like smooth our way in, last time I spoke about the self-actualizing level, and I played with that a little bit in the meditation, and that's a very important level in our community for sure. Very important in circling. And it's a level where you start to realize that truth, it does have meaning again. At the first level we explored, truth loses a bit of its meaning because you start to realize that everyone's got a truth. We can never find an ultimate truth. But there's a limitation to there's no truth. There's no ultimate truth. It's a contradiction at the bottom, because how can we say there's no truth when that's the truth itself? So the self-actualizing levels, like, no, we see this contradiction. When we look at the world, truth does seem important. Some people do seem to hold more truth than others. Certain perspectives are more useful than others. And truth has this kind of becomes like a tool that you can, that some tools are better than others for different jobs. And that's the same for complex ideas and for complex embodiment practices. And then the part of this self-actualizing level is this new freedom of like, oh, I can see truth in so many different places, and a new hope for like actualizing, becoming a complete human being, becoming more evolved, and this huge drive to be the best you can be. But like all levels, the thing that makes the level so wonderful, it's so wonderful to have that drive for like, wow, you want to meditate suddenly and you want to do shadow work. Like, who wants to do shadow work? It's awful. You got to look at like where you're lying to yourself and everyone else. It's awful. But suddenly it's like, yeah, I want to do that. And so that enthusiasm is amazing. But then it's also the limitation of the level, because the drive to grow actually has an unconscious element to it. So it's got this new energy, this new complexity, but fundamentally at the bottom of it is this terror that you won't be all you can be. this terror that life, you won't complete it somehow, you won't end your life fulfilled, or somehow you'll get it wrong. And fundamentally, at a deeper level, is a real fear of death and a struggle to really trust that life will really guide you and is really here for you. So with all that drive and energy that the self-actualizing level has, there's actually there can be, especially as its contradiction starts to be more conscious or starts to cause problems, you actually see a lot of these people start to burn out. So they were in this like amazing energy and drive, and they've got like 16 psychotherapists that they see, but it's like too much, and then and actually starts burning out, which actually brings the looming fears, the deeper unconscious parts of the self that can't be embraced yet start to actually speak louder. And the way that, like, the next calling for the individual is not this drive to be all you can be, which is still a little bit of a stepping back from reality and looking at, like, what's the best way for me to grow? It's actually leaning closer into reality and starting to experience immediacy and starting to trust immediacy even more than what we can discover with our clever ideas and our emotional practices. And it's like suddenly the felt sense of being here with you gives me more wisdom and more direction than all the things that I've learned previously, or all the things that I can do to make myself better. It's starting to see the limitation of that drive, of that self-actualizing tendency, and to actually let go into what it's really like to be here, and into a deeper trust of life. And you see, this is really in the heart of our practice, especially with surrendered leadership, where when we're together, we're starting to prioritize immediacy together. We start to want to let go of, like, okay, what's the 16 practices we can do today to become more present together, and start to really trust that if we start to be immediate, if we support each other in our surrender and lead from our surrender, we start to create something that's more wise or more attuned to who we really are. And we start to move from this actually sense of lack that comes with the self-actualizing into a trust of life. That, like, when we're together, maybe one moment I'll be doing shadow work because I've just got triggered with Philip. Like, is he really listening to me? And it's a trigger. And suddenly I have to go into, like, my pain that my mum didn't really listen to me when I was showing her my homework. And I've created a survival structure that I'm using all the time to help me navigate reality that I learned when I was 5. And suddenly it's so present and clear that that's what immediacy is showing me. So it's like, okay, that's what I'm going to reveal, and that's what I'm going to be with. And I'm going to let it take me into intimacy. And then the next moment, everything everyone says seems perfect. And I'm absolutely detached from it. Like I don't need to do anything. And suddenly life just makes so much sense. And my energy is a perfect expression of existence. So I've gone from a 5-year-old surviving to like not lose his mother's love to being one with all experience. And that's all come not because I was trying to, but because I was just tuning into immediacy. And it's showing me my next spiritual insight or my next psychotherapeutic moment, or maybe just suddenly I've got to like deal with an argument with Becky, and like we misunderstood each other, and then we're in this dynamic and it's like complex, and it's like the way that I relate, and suddenly Jane's involved as well, and I don't know what to do, and it's like, and then we start just doing group dynamic work, and systems constellations just start emerging, and we're learning about it through immediacy together. And we're even telling each other like, hang on a second, you seem to be trying to work this out with your mind, like we don't want any actualizing here, come back into immediacy. And then we're trying to navigate that together. And then suddenly actualizing's fine. Like we all start like digging it, like, oh, let's make a theory about what just happened because it was totally cool. And we totally need this theory now because we're totally fucked. We don't know what the hell's happening. But it's that continual trust that the moment will deliver or bring what I need. And it could be a theory, and it could be a moment of presence and deep meditation. It could be a surrender to someone else's vision of me. And this is really the new like potential of the construct aware. And this is really at the heart of the practice. And I think our practice community is really a playground for people that this kind of awareness is attractive to them, or is something, a potential they're feeling into, or have been in for a while and have been looking for other people that are interested in it and can play in this way. And one capacity that the research talks about is a lot seeing the limitations of meaning making, seeing how much the way we're trying to understand ourselves or show up, or the way we're trying to help others show up, or help others stay in connection with us, a lot of that comes from trying to control life. It's trying to like tell life at a very deep level that no, go this way, like this is the right way, I worked it out. And so this construct aware is seeing that this limitation, like we can't control life, or we will try, and we in some ways will never stop, but actually there's this fountain of wisdom and this ground of love that's possible when we experience immediacy, when we take our attention from our continual meaning making and evaluating and assessing and looking to the future and worrying about the past. When we take our attention away from that capacity and into immediacy, that there's something more truthful or more trustable. the thing with construct aware is, like all levels, it has its own quirks. So in some ways, like construct aware is like more meditative. You can often, feel someone who's really in this level, like they have a kind of space about them. But it actually is also very common for someone at very in this level to be highly complex. So even though they want to get away from the complex map making and self-actualizing, there's still this complexity about them, the way they talk about what's happening, but it doesn't come so much now from like learning philosophy or learning about spiritual traditions and retelling the story. It's because they want to describe their experience really accurately and closely. And because there's like space now to do it, usually from meditative practice, or like we do with circling, or from a lot of therapeutic practice, there's this ability to see more complex immediate experience. And so there's a wanting to honor it, but actually what ends up happening is this like huge complexity starts like coming through. And there's more awareness of what we call, this big fancy word now, so get ready, it's going to make me feel really clever, cross paradigmatic awareness. So if you're not feeling smart in a dinner party, if you try this word, it usually works. It makes you feel a little bit smarter. Cross paradigmatic awareness. And so I really think at self-actualizing level, more than ever, people in an embodied way understand paradigms. So you can read about meditation. You can hear other people talk about it and then have an opinion about it, which a lot of people do, but you won't actually know what meditation is about until you meditate, and not just meditate, but meditate properly. And to meditate properly usually means you have to like be around others who have seriously practiced and are recognized for having been seriously practiced, just like a good scientist would be. And then they correct you and guide you to meditate properly. You can do it other ways, but that's one of the like ways that usually brings about a real meditative experience. There are definitely people that can do that on their own. I definitely know people like that can go into very deep meditative states, and they've never been shown, but generally we need to be taught. But anyway, all that just to say, like a real paradigm, to discover a paradigm, you really need not just a theory and an idea, but you need a practice, and you need to do that practice properly to really understand the paradigm. And so that's the same with circling. Circling has lots of ideas about welcoming reality as it is and bringing that into connection with others, but making sure you're showing up authentically. And so there's lots of ideas about what it is. But to really discover what circling is, you have to do the practice of really being with people and knowing what it is to be present with someone, and understanding like ways that you lose presence, and being able to receive the other, and staying conscious of what's happening in the movement between you. That's all like difficult. So we often need a lot of support to understand like that practice. And then when you've done it for a while, you start to realize the reality that circling is showing you. So that's a paradigmatic awareness, that we need paradigms to show us reality. And I think that one reason for that is because reality is just so complicated that we would never like really know what to do with it. And paradigms help move our attention and our action and our thoughts into a specific way so we can really zone in to what's important about reality for us. I am feeling into like how much complexity I've just let out. So I'm just like feeling you guys wanting to keep you with me on this journey. So cross paradigmatic just means that you can experience different paradigms simultaneously, or you can see how they're combined, or you can bring them together. One like cool example could be like Steve Jobs. Like he brought like computing and the music industry and technology and all sorts of different fields, and he created like a combined field. So you could say that's like cross paradigmatic cognitive intelligence. I actually think surrender leadership is a cross paradigmatic practice because we're actually using meditation, psychotherapeutic insight, coaching, and we're blending them into one practice. But it's not like we're putting them together. You don't just like, oh, now we're doing psychotherapy and now we're doing meditation and they're like separate and together. No, they become one and it creates a more simple form. So we're actually only just like being honest and present together. But actually in doing that, we're combining all these other paradigms. It doesn't mean that we're as good at meditation as meditating paradigms, but we do develop those capacities. And someone at Construct Aware starts to live and be in a more cross-paradigmatic way. Like they start to combine the deep insights from different paradigms and start to turn them into one field or one. And that's why we need the like self-actualizing level and all that crazy drive to like experience different things, because then when we let go into immediacy in the construct aware level, it's like they come together more fluidly. And actually, just by experiencing your life and being present, you actually get like a cross paradigmatic experience. So I think I'm going to like shift gears away from cross paradigmatic and come into the limitations of this level. This is a fun one. I imagine a few of you are going to totally resonate with this. So the big challenge for construct aware is this newfound trust in immediacy and wanting to live from immediacy is actually so frustrating and like totally like overwhelming quite often, because you can't goddamn stay in immediacy and you keep going into your mind, and that's so frustrating. Why am I in my mind? I know that immediacy is more powerful. Why am I trying to strategize what to do? Oh, wait there. No, I've got to be present. I've got to accept this just as it is. But I don't accept it as it is. Oh no, I know. I've got to, no, be present, be present. No, I'm not supposed to be trying to change my experience. Oh, goddamn, am I? And suddenly there's this like turning wheel. So suddenly the wheel of like trying to be present when, of course, we're always already present. There's nowhere to get, there's nowhere to go. this doesn't feel like presence. I know real presence. It feels unity and it's all one, and like I know exactly what everyone's saying and I can feel it. No, it's just this moment. It's just this empty, nothing happening moment where my mind is racing. So you start to see construct aware, there's this constant dilemma of I want to be in immediate experience, I want to surrender to what's happening. And sometimes it just feels like I'm not doing that, and I don't know why. And I can't get out of it. And you must have had the experience when you've been meditating. This can really show up in meditation where you're sat there and you're like, okay, I'm going to sit here for 10 minutes and I'm just going to be totally like in the sensation. And then if I don't, and if I move away from the sensation, I'll just come back again and then I'll be in the sensation again. 40 seconds goes on the clock if you're lucky, if you're doing well. What am I going to do tomorrow? Oh yeah. Oh no, I'm supposed to be present. Okay, I'm going to really be present this time. 5 seconds later, is my posture any good? Am I doing this well? Oh no, I'm supposed. So you all know that experience of like wrestling with your mind while you're in meditation. Well, for construct aware, that's a full-time, pretty much a full-time occupation. And that's the difference. Like a lot of people have experienced the difficulty of being present, but that's not construct aware. So someone can know this dilemma through meditation, but they don't have this dilemma in the rest of their life. But someone at construct aware has this dilemma everywhere. So it's like, my work needs to be an expression of presence, of surrender. And if it's not, then it's like, why is my work not an expression of consciousness? But then at the same time, hang on a second, no, I'm trusting life as it is. So it's okay that my work's not the full expression of consciousness. Oh, and it already is as it is. But no, if I'm really honest, it's not. I'm hating it. And so this dilemma of, and then your relationship's the same, like, yeah, I'm trusting my relationship's just where it is. My girlfriend and me, I'm accepting it as it is. But secretly, I wish it was deeper. I had that experience in circling where I could feel all this truth and energy with the feminine. I want to feel that with my girlfriend or my husband, or so there's this dilemma of depth or immediacy everywhere. And the reason it's like so challenging and painful is because you really have genuine moments of transcendence or presence, the ground of experience or the true felt sense of life. For someone in this stage, they've had a lot of experience of that. So it's very hard when it feels like that's not accessible. The difference of being with someone when you're in that trust and felt sense to when you feel triggered and like in your mind trying to strategize is huge. It's such a difference. So it's no wonder it creates tension when it seems like it's not happening. And the tension is a real dilemma. It's an intense dilemma because to become more present is actually a letting go or a trust. So if you're putting any effort to make it happen, you're actually in the way of it happening. And that's an intense dilemma. And that's the dilemma that the construct aware is really struggling with. And at the same time, it's got this new playground of experience where it can trust immediacy and feel like cross-paradigmatic experience, or and what I found, I have found a slight difference between, I would say, between men and women, but it's different. It's obviously more complex than men and women, because certain men have what I'd consider a more feminine experience of this level, and some men are more masculine. Some women more masculine. But to use those terms how I feel them, to get it away from men and women, is the masculine part of like spiritual practice or surrender. In my understanding, is like pure witnessing. The capacity to receive life just as it is and not move, not have to change it, face it, and be in the truth of it just as it is. And it's a disidentifying. And then the feminine expression is an expression. It's being one with experience. It's moving with experience. It's showing depth through the embodiment of who you are. So I often find someone in construct aware in the more feminine way that likes to be in embodied experience, likes the felt sense, likes the raw connection, and doesn't want the complex maps getting in the way. Usually their dilemma is more about the struggle with mind. Someone more in the feminine is often getting like pissed at like circles that have lots of like complex maps going on. But then they're like struggling with like, should I be angry about that? Or should I even be more angry about it? Like there's a dilemma about how to relate to experience being this like deep embodiment. And then the fact that the mind can seem to like dampen that or control experience. And then someone more in the masculine is more in the dilemma of like losing presence. Like they want to stay conscious of everything. And then if they lose presence and somehow like can't stay, that's painful. And ultimately, the healthy version of this level is the embracing of both of those sides. That we're developing our capacity to witness and allow reality to be as it is, to let life unfold, while developing our capacity to express life and be true to what it's trying to say and communicate and commune, and also be in the truth, witness, and experience, and be the full flowering love that's unfolding between us in each moment. So I'm looking at the time and I'm thinking, I don't know if I can go through a whole level now, and maybe I should just do another talk on the next level. Does anyone have any preferences?
Could you give us an appetizer?
I'll definitely give an appetizer for sure.
I know.
Especially for those construct aware people that are like, how do I get out of this dilemma? It's how can I'm not going to try and solve it, I promise. Just tell me the answer. I'll give a little taste and then we'll see. Like maybe I'll do another session also, but yeah, we'll have a little taste of the next level. Is everyone in? Any burning questions? Cool. So the move to unitive is a deeper move from immediacy into unity. And you can get a taste of the unitive experience of consciousness from immediacy. Like if you're just tuning in to what's here right now, you can experience it, but there's actually a deeper letting go that's possible, where everything is just arising in consciousness. Like this moment, this computer, this voice coming from me, these other faces, the table or the room around you, the world outside your room, it's all arising in consciousness. And you yourself are arising in that consciousness as well. And there's no gaps anywhere. And where the gaps feel like gaps are opportunities to feel existence more intimately. At the unitive level, there's a deeper capacity to allow experience and to experience the unity of experience on a more continual basis. And a lot of this is because the uncertainty, the unknown that's part of our experience becomes non-threatening. Construct aware, it's like uncertainty becomes like a new friend, but it's not really a friend, it's also a foe. Like it's like when we feel uncertain, it's like we're going to go in there and conquer it. Like we're going to go in there and experience it. But there's still a sense of me in that. Like there's a sense of trying to create a stable identity by going into uncertainty. At the unitive stage, there's a deeper seeing that at the heart of identity is consciousness, not Sean or Michael or Richard, Donald. Our identities are still a part of experience, but on a deeper level, there is no personal self. And there is, and that's okay. And that second part's really important because that's the other part of the unitive awareness, that the struggle with the part of us that wants to make an identity or wants to think about things and worries, and there's less anxiety that that's a part of our experience because that's always going to be here. And it's actually wonderful. It's like totally wonderful. Like, just imagine we're this being that has this part that's like trying to create a stable identity, so we can like do well in life and have good relationships and like survive. It's like wonderful. And it's totally part of life, so why would that not be completely trustable? And when we look really deeply, there's no foundation, just consciousness. Or there's an emptiness. You might be able to taste it now, like being a construct aware, the question of like, who am I really is really important. Like, who am I really? Like, when I really look, like, am I these thoughts? Am I these feelings? But there's a struggle really subtle in that. And I think at construct aware, they split the construct aware also into ego aware. And at ego aware, you start this process of asking, like, what is it that has me try to find out who I am? Like, what is that energy? Like, why am I searching for like the source of my being with so much drive? But I wonder if you can sense it now, like, and does this inquiry resonate for people? People here, like, being in that inquiry of like, who are you most fundamentally? Does it, do I get any nods, or is it something? Yeah, got some nods, yeah. Well, fundamentally there's I wouldn't even call it fear, maybe I'd call it terror, that you have to know. So you're looking, and you're looking as authentically as you can at your experience, and you're circling and you're like revealing what's there, but actually there's this like terror or this drive that you need to know who you are, or you need to know the deepest truths about experience. Otherwise you don't quite get it. And at unity experience, it's like, well, I don't actually know who I am. That's not scary. I don't have to work it out. Like, I don't know. And the felt sense of not knowing, that feels like trustable. Not knowing who I really am feels like presence, like unity. So at unitive, there's letting go of this terror that I don't know who I am. If I don't know who I am, I don't really know reality, or what is there to really trust. This comes a lot from the research, because I think I meet less people on this level and only have like a leg in this level. There's like a letting go of the complexity, because if there's no longer a terror to like need to know fundamentally, there doesn't need to be so much effort to try to be in immediacy or to be all you can be, self-actualizing. It's a more constant experience of life being just as it is, and deeply, deeply trustable. Nowhere to go. We're being very well guided already. And there's also like a deep, almost like, yeah, when I say deep, it almost doesn't even become deep because it's just so natural. Like all levels matter. Like we don't need to get everyone to be unitive or construct aware because life knows what it's doing, having people at multiple levels, and everyone always starts at the beginning anyway. So it doesn't matter if we've become unitive or we've discovered the next 3 stages above it. Our kids are still going to be egocentric maniacs when we bring them into the world, and they're going to be fundamentalists and scientific, like autonomy maniacs as well, and we're going to come across all these people, and actually we totally resonate with those people because they show us something about life, and it's so good just to be experiencing this with everyone. What a wonder. There's one thing they say on the research, that you have to be somebody before you can be nobody. So I know I certainly have tried it, but I think a lot of people are trying it. It's like trying to get to this like unity experience before enjoying fully the self-actualizing level, and before really going through and like developing your ego to the level it wants to be developed, to really trying to be the best you can be for a while until it actually feels natural that that's relaxed, because it's when it relaxes on its own that it's ready.